I think the thing that we do, and I think I would encourage most organisations to do when they're considering how they go about innovating, is really to consider the customer first. So what are the real outcomes that customers are looking for in modern retail, and build back from that. And the important thing from our perspective is it's not just about doing that ourselves, it's about looking out into the broader market, understanding who can do different kind of things and starting to knit innovation together. So I think the days of what I might call testosterone-rich innovation are probably over. About having to create all of it in your own organisation. It's more about actually bringing together like-minded groups of organisations who can actually knit something together and create something fundamentally distinctive. Quite simple. We measure it purely from customer response. We measure it in terms of customer advocacy, should we call it. So we measure it in terms of how customers feel about our in-store experience. We measure it in terms of how they felt the delivery experience worked for them. The primary areas that we're focusing on for innovation are really around bringing new product to the end customer experience. So the way in which particularly younger customers are engaging with the retail environment. So a recent innovation for us was driven by changing behaviour of the millennial generation. And the way in which that came through, we were talking to them about the way in which they return products to fashion retailers. And one group of young ladies was telling us that they don't use our service because they can't print out our return labels. We asked them whether or not they'd got printers, and they all said yes. After about 15 minutes, one guy in our team said, just a minute, on those printers, are they plugged in? And the answer is no. And it's a mindset that we've got to get into that says they lead their lives in a different way to which we do. They submit all of their schoolwork, their college work, on memory sticks or by email. Yeah, they don't print things out in the way that my generation did. And so it's actually getting into the mind and the context of the consumer and starting to provide solutions that suit their lifestyles. Consumer centrism for us is really about putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do and working with our retail clients to do exactly the same. If you don't start with the consumer at heart, you end up in a situation where you are trying to tell the consumer how they should live their lives, how they should behave, and that's always going to create friction. The days of large retailers providing average things to average consumers have gone. Consumers want something that is personalised, that is unique to them, and you've actually got to create those kind of relationships. The biggest challenge in facing into a customer-centric way of working is that not every one of our retail partners will think the same way. We work with a lot of what might be called legacy retailers, as well as working with a lot of very young, dynamic, high fashion organisations. And so we get a really quite interesting blend between the old and the new. Very, very quickly. And therefore, there is no single right path. The most important thing I think about innovation in the new era is about being prepared to be flexible and to be agile, being prepared to take what you might call staccato steps to get to a destination. And it won't always be a direct line, it won't be a straight route. You will have to go through all sorts of different detours to get to where you want to get to. And that's part of the, I suppose that's part of the fun of this. As much as anything else, to actually look at what is happening on the broader European scale. It's easy to sit in the UK, and whilst the UK is very much at the forefront of all things e-tail and development in the fulfilment space, the European market is broader. It has nuances that we certainly won't have in the UK, and it's always it's always useful to understand what they might be and how you can actually shape some of those learnings back into the UK market.